Queensland team after the game one thrashing, but maybe not that many. 7 changes. Obviously, Thurston coming back was an injury change with Milford out and Thurston recovering from his shoulder injury. But yeah, 6 players dropped. Not sure that we saw that coming, especially Corey Oates is probably the unlucky one. Valentine Holmes, though, test winger, he comes in, and also Billy Slater to that reshuffled back line. So I think they're going to be stronger, certainly 1-7.
And what impact is Billy Slater going to have on the team? Because he's obviously he's got a lot of experience, and people were saying that he should have been in the first game. So what do you think he'll bring?
Well, I think he's been fantastic since he came back this year. To be honest, I don't think he was going to be as good as he has been for the Storm after one game in the last 2 years. And yeah, as you said, just that experience. I think he brings a lot of the same qualities that James Tedesco brings to the Blues, with that high energy and just involved with everything. And he knows what it takes to win these sort of games as well. And I know a lot of people have sort of said Darius Gord's the best fullback in the game, but he's also the best and most prolific origin winger of all time. So I think they're going to be overall a lot stronger.
And when we had our Commentary Box Sports expert team selections, I remember that you put in Cohen Hess, Billy Slater, and Valentine Holmes. Do you think that it's a good omen for the Maroons then, given they've picked your team?
Possibly, mate. I actually forgot the team that I picked initially. But yeah, I'm glad to see those guys in there. Cohen Hess, they need a bit of impact and size in the pack. I think he brings that. And yeah, just bring some guys that are playing good footy week to week. And a couple of guys that weren't perhaps performing at NRL level, dropping out of the side. Obviously, Guerra's been struggling a bit. Lilliman's been pretty good for the Warriors. I expect him to come in if and when Jared Wallace gets suspended. But yeah, I think on the whole, picking on form is going to be good for this side, despite a number of new faces. It's going to be a big test.
Excellent. And moving on to the NRL, we had some interesting results. In the Bulldogs and the Warriors having turnaround wins as well.
Yeah, big weekend for both teams. Obviously, I wasn't expecting the Warriors to go that well, especially without James Gavet, who's been their best front rower by a mile. And they really took it to the Titans pack and came away with a pretty convincing win. And yeah, the Bulldogs yesterday, tough week for them, one of the toughest weeks they've had in a long time. Off the field and on, they've been terrible, 4 losses in a row, and then they knock off the Dragons. So, yeah, you can't really underestimate the impact that sort of backs to the wall mentality has on a team. And obviously those two teams go into the bye now, and then they play each other next Friday. So, huge game. That'll be in round 16. Whichever team can sort of put those 2 wins in a row on the board might be back in the finals picture.
Yeah, definitely lots of implications with those buys. The Bulldogs look like they got their defensive bite back, so to speak, as well. Some great scrambling tries, so that must have been positive for them.
Yeah, definitely, especially after 38-0 against Penrith only a week earlier, and they really held firm on their line. Obviously, the Dragons have been really good this year, and they've got a lot of weapons, but they couldn't find a way through. So as poor as the Bulldogs' attack still was, I think their defensive strength sort of told, and in the end they were able to capitalise on a few opportunities of their own. Not that they were real crowd-pleasing tries, but they all count. So yeah, well done to the Dogs.
Do you think with the Warriors win, it's their first win of the year away from Mount Smart? With the bye, maybe with Foran picking up that quad injury, is that gonna? Do you think it's enough to set the wheels of motion for some wins together? Or
yeah, who knows? You kind of always think that the Warriors might have turned the corner and then they go back to old habits. Yeah, Foran's injury will be interesting to see what the prognosis is there. On a silver lining, Ada Hingano had a nice 15-minute cameo off the bench, so hopefully they won't lose too much if Foran is out for a bit. Yeah, but obviously the Warriors need to keep winning in Australia the odd game, so it'd be good to see them actually win in Sydney for a change. Obviously, Gold Coast has been a happy hunting ground for them, but yeah, I guess I look forward to next week playing back at home on a Friday night, and then they've got another bogey game over in Perth where they're 0-7, so yeah, crucial fortnight coming up for them.
Definitely. the Penrith Panthers as well. 90 seconds to go, they were trailing, and somehow they come back and win. I mean, what did you make of that result? Incredible.
Unbelievable. Less than 2 minutes to go. You thought Canberra had it wrapped up. Just the class of Matt Moylan, obviously. The Panthers just keep doing it 4 in a row. Obviously, some big comebacks in that. And just when you think you've seen it all, they pulled that out of the bag. Heartbreak for the Raiders who just keep losing those close games. Now Penrith, a month ago, they were on the ropes, and now they're in the 8. So that's how quickly things can change.
That's right, and we see there that the Warriors, I think, now are in 11th spot. So a lot of teams in that sort of fringe top 8 contention. So the next few weeks probably crucial for the competition as a whole.
Yeah, that's right. That mid-table logjam, it's really tight there, and as it always is at this time of the year, and all the origin implications and all that sort of thing. I guess you come out the other side and see where you place for the run home.
Over to rugby union, the British and Irish Lions over in New Zealand. A lot of, some indifferent results at the start, but they finally register a win this time against the Crusaders.
Yeah, they copped it certainly in New Zealand and from their own press back in Britain. But and that game against the Blues was an absolute beauty. I haven't enjoyed a game of rugby like that for years. And the game on Saturday night wasn't much of a spectacle, but they got the win and probably silenced a few critics. I think sort of really sets up the rest of the tour and shows what they can do with their sort of first choice team on the park.
That's right. It seems like the Lions. The different attitudes in the media, their coach Warren Gatlin also, it seems like he's sort of fraying at the edges even at the start. So as a tour, it probably needed a bit of injection of life, do you think?
Yeah, just, there was sort of a few predictions of an absolute whitewash once the tests roll around if they, can't beat the weakest Super Rugby team from New Zealand, but they've gone and beaten the best. Obviously, the Crusaders were 14-0 and Super Rugby are 14-0. So to sort of put them away, and it was fairly convincing in the end, really ground them into the dirt, so to speak, in Christchurch. And they're a force to be reckoned with. Can't underestimate them.
Definitely be interesting to see how that goes. Over in Melbourne, the Wallabies beating Fiji. Carmichael Hunt becoming another dual international, playing his first test for the Wallabies. What do you make of the Wallabies' performance and what implications do you think that will have once the season proper gets underway?
It's probably a confidence builder for them. It was fairly convincing in the end. It just obviously a couple of late tries to Fiji brought the scoreline back a bit, but they were always in control. Carmichael Hunt, first test and playing second 5 was pretty solid, and that lineup seems to be coming together. Well, to be honest, they're obviously a long way off probably where the All Blacks and the likes of England are, but they've got to start somewhere after a pretty tough year last year, and obviously a woeful Super Rugby campaign by the Aussie teams. So, if they can settle on a lineup, they might do a bit of damage in the Rugby Championship. Maybe give the All Blacks a bit of a shake. Any
win by the Wallabies, I think, in the modern day should be celebrated by their fans. So it's good that they did win.
Burn, yeah. No, it was a good result, I think.
And in the French Open, Rafa Nadal, his 10th French Open win. And this man just keeps going and going, but he's the king of clay, isn't he?
Yeah, 10 wins, most ever by a man or a woman in any event in the Open era. So, I'm no expert on tennis, but, I think any sports fan can appreciate how awesome it is and how great he's been for the game. I think, seeing the way that him and Federer have come back this year has been, one of the highlights of the sporting year so far. Obviously on the back of that Australian Open final, which was a classic, and then Rafa dominating French Open. You sort of wonder when these guys are going to stop.
Yeah, it's, as you say, Will, it's, as a sporting story, we love to see that the champions still continue on and on. So it gives hope also for perhaps some other players who think their career might be over, in any sport, but they are able to watch these guys, and women, and they're doing well late in their career.
Yes, yeah, definitely. You sort of wonder where when the sort of next generation is going to come through and start dominating tennis, like Federer and Nadal did, 10, 12 years ago when sort of Sampras and Agassi were on their way out. But there's still these old guys that are dominating, and just long may it continue. Don't get sick of watching these guys.
Definitely not. So this week with Commentary Box Sports, what can we look forward to from a content perspective?
We have our usual features. My Golden Points column, which will be up later on Tuesday, and Nick Tedeschi's Six Up the Middle. Corey Ross has got a lot of NRL content with us, some interviews with Broncos and Warriors, and maybe your league passport will be making an appearance later in the week. I take it.
That's right.
And yeah, just all the news and opinions on all our major sports.
Fantastic.
And a pretty exciting piece of news with yourself, mate. Your first book is being published, and is it on the shelves yet?
It's next Monday. Thanks, Will. Yeah, next Monday it will be on the shelves here in Australia. So yeah, really exciting. As you know, your first book is just something surreal, really, and something very different. So yeah, I think it's just gonna be great to see it in the physical form. It'll be great.
Yeah, no, it's a great achievement, mate, and can't wait to sink my teeth into it. And so, yeah, everyone out there, go buy yourself a copy. It's going to be a beauty.
Thanks so much, Will.
Give us the title of that one, just so our fans can head out to the bookstores and pick that one up.
Sure, it's called Their Finest Hour. So it's a history of the Rugby League World Cup in 10 matches. So yeah, available in bookstores and also online as well. So thanks so much for your time, Will, and thanks to you all for watching another week of Spotlight here on Commentary Box Sports.
Thanks, mate. Catch you next week.
Okay. Excellent.